Hello, very good day to you. Welcome to Kenya's most comprehensive political analysis show. Definitely, I'm talking about the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evans Okinyi. Such a pleasure to have you on board on this day again. As usual, I'm here with Professor Herman Manyora. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Yes.
Looking elegant, so to say.
Living life. Yes.
Something, of course, things are happening in the country, and of course one of the things that has struck me most this weekend is the government's decision to actually quash or rather revoke the licenses of various churches across the country in a bid to tame what they call religious extremism. I wonder whether this is the right direction, or whether you're convinced that perhaps the government for the first time is doing the right thing in as far as taming the so they call religious extremism. What do you make of the government's decision to revoke those licenses?
Which what comes out of this move is some sort of discrimination.
Okay.
Yes. Why do you isolate these five? Or are they 4 or 5? Why helicopter? I like the helicopter one. Why Ezekiel? Was it Ezekiel who?
Yeah, Ezekiel's church.
There's Ezekiel and that, and why those ones? While you are doing that, I'm seeing a lot of nonsense on television. Clearly exploiting the poor. On TV. There are many of these things that should not be entertained in the 21st century. They are all over, including on our television, on social media, everywhere. Why those 4? What happened, of course, is bad. It's tragic in Shakahola. So if you are dealing with Shakahola alone, people would understand. But once you begin roping helicopter, there's another one, then there is Ezekiel, people are bound to ask, why them? That discrimination. Why them? Why them? Where is the structure put in place? Where is the legal regime? Where is the administrative policy you are using? What are you using? What are you basing yourself on to close 4 out of thousands? Well, what are you using?
Definitely not for.
Because what we know ourselves, when I watch TV on Sunday, I can't believe what I'm watching.
Well, a number of churches, almost 50, have got their licenses revoked. But then the ones that are a little bit conspicuous are the ones that we actually know.
What we saw are 5.
Yeah, the ones that we saw there.
Yes.
So why are you questioning the government?
I'm saying the manner in which it's done leaves people thinking it is a way of discriminating against a few. The best way would be, let Kenyans know the policy and how government is going about it. So that even the people will help government, that given that this is your policy, that a church of this nature may not be allowed, we have one in our neighborhood. You see, the people will also help government. That this one fits the description of those ones you are saying should not be allowed. In other words, you work with everybody on board. If you want to be done in a civil way, in a modern way, but you can also do it in the way Kagame has done.
Okay.
You can just put your foot down and say, we don't want this nonsense.
Let's look at it from this example. So what is it that you have? Do you have a problem with the kind of approach that the government gave this thing or the action in itself?
I don't like people behaving in a manner to isolate a few people for punishment.
Okay.
While the majority go unpunished. I don't like it. If a question of churches, we need to know what is it we are looking for. After Shakahola, what is the way forward? And this way forward must be something you share with the people of Kenya. They can even enrich it. They can make it better. And say, okay, even these others that we are living on board, we are not closing. But to the extent that they are in business, they must be taxed. You know, so you shall have those ones which are not licensed under whatever circumstances. They go home, join other churches. There will be those that will leave because they are standing, they have been there, they are conventional, they are there, they are mainstream. We leave them. And they have direct contribution to society in hospitals, schools, etc., etc.
Okay.
Then we have another middle category. They are not the ones we are proscribing or banning or closing. Neither are they the established churches with clear benefit to society. They are in between, but they are raking in a lot of money. We charge them tax.
Okay.
And somebody else can make it better. That's my contribution. Another Kenyan can make it better and better. And finally, we all agree this is a procedure of registering churches. And those that do not follow within what we consider to be the right thing will be closed.
But those provisions that are already there anchored in law.
Where are they?
The provisions that were followed when these churches were registered. Definitely.
No, I'm saying that has not served us. That has produced Shakahola. That has produced the sort of things we see, horrible things we watch on TV. Horrible things we walk in the estates. All the nonsense we see around with religious sects.
Okay.
It hasn't helped to stem. So we will need to have a better one. Or we leave it laissez-faire, we leave it. We can choose to leave it. So that when you break the law, we just deal with you like a criminal. That's all. I also proposed, I said, you may not even need to regulate. We just say, if you are going to build a church, follow the regulations of building a church, a building. Simple. Public health, what have you planning, everything. So if you do not fit within that, you are not allowed. Because you can't just put up a school. To put up a school, there are things you need to do. Conditions you must meet. Let the churches meet those conditions. That will look out a whole lot of these things that are down here. And then for the others, we see, okay, what are your programs as a church? You have no programs for society. You raise lots of money from our own observations. We know you collect a lot of money. You don't run a single school. You don't run a church. I mean, a hospital, a health center, a dispensary. So you are in business. Pay us taxes. And that will just wipe out some of these excesses. Yeah.
Now, how does, of course, we've had this conversation way before, especially at the onset of the tragedy in Shakahola there, and we were asking ourselves, how does the government now approach this without undermining the freedom of worship therein, because that's a right of everybody, and it does not actually tell you that you are supposed to belong to a particular church whatsoever. So how then does the government come in and bring about some of the solutions that we are witnessing here that would actually hinder us getting back to where we were back then, or rather whatever we witnessed there. But at the same time, they do not.
We can give you. That's what I'm saying. I gave the second option. The second option, you don't even bother about registering a church. Let anybody approach, have his own church. Establish it. Just get nominal registration, just for existence, the way it is happening now. But let the law be applied to you. The law governing buildings, planning, public health, pollution, noise, what have you. Let those laws apply. Taxation. You pay your taxes. Let the laws apply. The laws, anti-money laundering laws. If you collect 10 million like some churches collect one Sunday, where do you take this money? 20 million, where do you take this money? We follow you, we want to know. So, in America, they may not need to ask you to register for a church, I don't know. But if you went there and began preaching certain things, they'll take you to court.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything in this country is political, Prof. We had that statement made by Ida Odinga, of course, the wife to the former Prime Minister back then, about regulating churches. And of course, she came under...
She was bashed.
Bashing and all that kind of criticism from those who are on the other side of the political divide. Especially, I remember the Deputy President criticized her so much. But then right now we are having a regime that purportedly rose to power through the religious card. Of course, you cannot draw that out of the question herein. Then how does it now leave the government right now, owing to the fact that they portrayed themselves as those who are religious? But then right now the religious communities and those churches whose licenses have been revoked are saying that the government is discriminating against them, is witch hunting them. Could it actually affect them politically at some particular moment?
No, you see why the government is going for a few churches. The government fears that if they did the right thing, which is to regulate properly in the wake of Shakahola, they will be accused of doublespeak.
Okay.
That you talked about God. God was on your side. The church was blah, blah. Now that you are in power, you are persecuting us. So they fear that. And because of that, they fear that, and yet they know the country is waiting for them to do something because of Shakahola. So this token that is appearing to be discrimination is what they can do. Otherwise, if they went full throttle, they will close a lot of churches. And then there will be a hue and cry. You people, we put you to power because you are men of God. What are you doing to the church? So they fear that, and yet they must do something. Hence, this few they are touching. And that makes it even worse because people are asking them, why are you discriminating? Why are you discriminating against helicopter church? I like the name, like I told you, helicopter church. Yes. You just climb the helicopter and you are in heaven. Yes.
So you are saying that at least they need to
They should leave this helicopter church. I like the word helicopter.
Should it be left just because you love the word helicopter there?
It should also be left because for everyone they have closed, there are hundreds that should be closed. Then why this one?
Okay.
The reason for closing helicopter church, if you are to apply it across board, hundreds of others will be closed. Why are you leaving them? Why helicopter? Which I like.
Okay.
Yes.
Talking of helicopter there, which you like, of course. But then now the political question still remains: could this turn against them in the near future?
If they had done the right thing, which is full administrative force to close down churches that are adding no value to society, that are even anti-Christian, anti-God, anti-people. If they had gone full throttle, they would close a lot of churches, and that will affect them. That would have, but this few is just, that won't be.
You're saying that, again, this is not the right way to do things.
It's not the right way to do things. One thing about a modern democracy is equality before the law, equity for all citizens. So if you do something that appears to discriminate against other people, that already is hugely unconstitutional.
And of course, the government has moved in to revoke those licenses, yet there are cases still pending in court going on, of course, with regards to Ezekiel there.
That's what I'm saying. If you came up with a policy, a policy will take into consideration all the factors you need to have, and then you'll protect yourself from litigation.
Okay.
Okay? If it's a well thought out policy that might as well end up with legislation to buttress it in law. And that's a modern way of doing things. Because people basically are enjoying high standards of human rights. People are highly aware of their rights. So to step down on those rights without proper structures, without proper regimes, you could land yourself in trouble. Yeah, you need to come up with serious policy, where need be take this to parliament for enactment into law, and then even when you move, there will be fewer challenges. But if you just move like this, there will be so many challenges. Yeah.
Well and good, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stop this conversation at this particular moment, but please do talk to us their way in on our conversation here. Tell us what you think about the government's decision to revoke the licenses of various churches across this country in a bid to tame what they call, quote-unquote, religious extremism. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi, and thank you for keeping it here at Herman Manyora's YouTube channel.